Hello, I'm Traitor. Since this is the first in the series, I decided I'm going to let you know how these videos are laid out and what you can expect. For one, this is much more than a beginner's guide. While it does allow someone to learn the basics, it's also going to have strats from the top level done and explained. And don't let that scare you though, because if there's a skip or strat that is difficult to learn or complete, I also made sections for the easier route as well. I've made chapters for every video as well as put timestamps in the description so you're able to hop around to what you want to find in particular. So from every video onwards, it'll start with the stage completed in full, showing you without interruptions what it looks like, and then we'll go from the top and look at it section by section so I can give you some knowledge on what's being done and why. So, without further ado, let's watch City Escape. 市内警備中の全車両に次ぐ逃亡者が市内を南に向かって逃走中幹線道路を封鎖し逃亡者を捕獲せよ Yes! Too easy! Yes! Beginning the hero story, we start with gameplay we'll only see twice throughout the run, and that's the boarding section. It's not similar at all to the rest, so I'd suggest moving on once you get a feel for it, since there's very little time to save or lose here, and it's really simple. There's actually only a few things to know about the boarding section. 1. You only have control of turning left or right. Holding up or down does nothing unless you jump. 2. Braking is never used. If you're going to hit a wall, I suggest jumping instead, because if you brake, you won't give yourself much more time to avoid hitting the wall. Meanwhile, if you jump, you're able to conserve some momentum, since the game doesn't think of you as hitting the wall while in the air rather than interacting with collision. Now then, let's go back to the start. You'll see that I'm holding directly down right on the analog stick. This is to fall further down while we're in the air since we have control right away. Let go just before you touch the ground to prevent Sonic from veering off in a bad direction. From then, this section is actually very simple with only a few tips to give. 1. Try to always hit the ramps if you can and hold a diagonal angle to get the most distance because fun physics. 2. Taking tight turns is not convenient and it's better to turn from the center of the road rather than when you're rubbing against the wall. And 3. This double turn is probably the only way to lose significant amounts of time, so pay attention to how I do this. Oh, and finally, the stationary cars are always consistent, but the moving ones are random, so try your best to avoid them. For this spin dash, don't fully charge it. The rail won't interact with Sonic and you'll just lose time. After jumping, then homing attacking up the stairs, we get to an important part in the stage. Here, you get to choose whether you want to do City Escape skip or not. It's entirely up to you, but I'll show both and I recommend trying both. The reason for this is that if you plan on ever adding CE skip to your run, it will be a much smoother transition if you've already got some experience with it. And just because I think it's good to try both, I don't recommend for beginners to add CE skip into their run right away, because it just adds a major reset point for only about 25 seconds saved, which chances are you can easily save that much or more by just improving your movement. To set up for CE skip, homing attack into the right wall and charge a spin dash until you're on the slope section, then release. Homing attack into the right wall and charge a spin dash until you're on the slope section, then release. Charge the spin dash once more as you see the white car on the left vanish from your view, and continue charging it through the speed pads. The reason you need to do this is because the speed pads set your current speed to a static value when you hit them. However, that doesn't affect the speed you stored, so when you release the spin dash, it will set your current speed to whatever speed was stored. Going back to the setup, undo the spin dash and jump as early on the ramp as you can. Assuming everything went well, you'll clip out of the stage and end up at the rail section just before the truck. Hold directly left on the analog stick so that when you land, Sonic will either hit the wall or the rail. From there, aim towards the rail, tap jump, and as soon as Sonic begins to descend, homing attack. If all went well, you'll be zooming down the rail. You might have already realized, but with the setup that I've shown you for CE skip, you'll have the camera reversed. This means you will have to pay attention to how the rail bends so you can react accordingly. Pay attention to when you see posters on the wall, because the third poster is when you need to jump. If you have a slow reaction time, do the second one and homing attack onto the next rail. There are 3 sets of rails, and once you get to the last one, hold directly left and jump to rail switch and then go up the stairs. This is a good time to... If you're not planning to go for CE skip, charge the spin dash and go around the speed pads and avoid getting thrown into the air. I mentioned this already in the basic movement tutorial for speed characters, but I think it's important to mention here as well. When you aren't skipping CE, the biggest fear you'll have is getting flung off from having too much speed. Zoom through this section. It's pretty straightforward. This section right here, you want a homing attack early to instantly land on the rail. A small time save is jumping into the wall and skipping the fence here. Make sure to take this ramp. To stick to the loop, make sure to unroll before the speed pad. Also look at the shadows to figure out when to jump. Fully charge a spin dash jump over the pit. If you're scared that you're not going to make it, hit the spring. Tap the analog stick the opposite direction the rail bends and make sure to neutral stick when jumping between them. Once you get to this part, both routes of City Escape end up here. Make sure to aim under this part of the arrow to be able to stay on the ground when entering the truck section. It stays around 1 second. Whether you get thrown up or not though, the rest of the truck section remains the same. Spin dash down slopes and charge another spin dash just before the road gets flat to keep yourself from being thrown into the air. The 3 visual cues I use are this trolley, this red car, and this ramp. If you end up charging and Sonic doesn't pass the flat section to the next slope before you release the spin dash, it means you're charging too early. If you get thrown, it means you're too late. Everything I've said so far in the truck section assumes you're going at full speed, but I want to stress the importance of understanding when you aren't at full speed and how much it can affect you. This section just before the set of speed pads I skipped previously, but pay attention to my speed and where I position Sonic. Now watch what happens if I position Sonic the same way, but with much lower speed. As you can see, speed is important even in the section with the speed pads. Different speeds mean different positions work, and I won't go too into detail as I'm already dragging this video on for longer than I would like, but I'll say if you have full speed, try to have Sonic to the right of the double yellow line, somewhere around in this area, and if you have less speed, you want to be on the left of the yellow, somewhere in this area. And with that, we're done my City Escape tutorial.